So we're going over the types of meals. We're in your culinary class, and we're going to go over those types of meal, how to serve meals. So we're in chapter 5, section 3 now. So there's different types of meals. How do you serve them? Are you going to serve them buffet, American style, English style? Well, what are these styles? Family style? So let's find out about these. Here's a picture of basically place centers and how are we going to serve the food. So because some types of service would be too complex for the hostess to carry out by herself in the home while entertaining guests, this course will focus on meal service styles that will be used in the home. So we're not necessarily talking about all the different ways restaurants do this. So to spend more time with your guests, a hostess should limit the number of times she needs to leave the table and run to the kitchen, right? So of course, the needs of the guest come first, but you should plan ahead for the service style to see how are you going to serve. Are you going to have to run to the kitchen all the time? So always consider the style of the menu before you bring the guests in, so you know. I sometimes have a hard time doing that with Papa. He usually likes buffet kind. So anyway, kind of a buffet or American style. So anyway, regardless of the style of the chosen, carry it out with correct etiquette. So family style. So let's talk about the family style. So the family style, you have serving dishes that are placed on the table before the meal. So each person helps himself. So you have the food on the table, right? You cooked all the food, it's all on the table. And so now on the table, each person will help themselves before passing the food to the right. So I usually have everyone at the table. You say the blessing, the food's all hot at the table. I'm at the table too. We pray, and then each person will take some food out of the food next to them and pass it, So if there's an honored guest, the host or hostess offers a dish to the honored guest first. So honored guest gets first. Birthday girl gets first, right? So politely hold the dish until the next person is ready to receive it, but you may set the dish down if it's too hot. So you pass it to the next person. Oh, it's too hot. You can set it down, right? Otherwise, hold it for the next person. Turn the pitcher handle and serving utensil toward the next guest so that they can just grab it. So they don't have to grab it over. So you turn the handle so that they can easily grab that handle to serve themselves. So, and this is really good. This is family style. So, and it's suitable for most families because families usually pretty small compared. Then we have the English style. What's the English style? It's when the host or the hostess fills the plates at the table and then passes the plates to the guest. So the host or hostess gets up and puts food, fills the table, fills the plates at the table for them. This holiday dinners are very common doing this because maybe the host is carving the meat, has carved the meat or has the meat, and so at that time he puts it each on the plates, So it's best used for small groups, though. You can imagine you have a big turkey at the table, right? So and because of the handling of plates and possible loss of food temperature during the serving process, it's not as used as much, So that's the English styles, maybe carving the meat, putting the meat in the plates and passing the plates down. English style. Okay, then there's the preset style. And that's when the food is put in the plates, the kitchen. And so in the kitchen, they put the food in the plates and then you bring them to the table before the meal begins. It's on the plates. And it doesn't require serving dishes because you already served it on there. So, and there's less time in cleanup, because you have exactly on your serving dish, And it's used when the time is limited because they want to hurry up and get the food on. You don't have to pass the food around, so when you have limited time. And it's also good with small children because you got to put their food on the plate and they don't have to pass it to a small child and she spills the food all over the place, So anyway, So they might have difficult time with the kids. So it's the preset putting the food on in the kitchen it can be good in certain situations. So, but the thing about the preset is that a lot of times the food is sitting longer in the kitchen, so it's not nice and hot, you know. So when you lose temperatures, it might not be the best thing to preset in all the dishes in the kitchen, right? And they're all cooling off. So that's preset. American style. American style food is plated in the kitchen and served to each guest individually, which allows the cook to focus on the presentation and the garnishes. And this service may involve a preset first course. So there might be the first course, might be the appetizers, and then they preset it in the kitchen and bring the appetizers to the plate. It's actually pretty nice. And the bread may be passed at the table or served on the bread plate, whichever way. And the food is served from the left. Whenever you're a waitress, you're going to want to serve, or you're waiting, you want to serve the food from the left, and the beverages are going to be from the right. So if you're pouring water, you're going to pour it from the right side of the individual. If you're serving food, you're going to serve the food from the left side of the individual. So, and this is what's used in restaurants too. So the hostess will carry out the service, bringing in the food, and she should consider what occasion or formality, you know, in doing this, and limit the meal to 3 courses, because if you have one course, you're bringing out the appetizer. Usually the appetizers are already on the table, and then that way you can just go bring the next, you're bringing the main dish and then the dessert. So there's only 2. So it's not like, okay, I have to go to the kitchen again. I got to go to the kitchen again, you know. So if you're going to do the plated style, the plated American style, make sure that you are, you know, you don't have a whole bunch of different servings to bring out, you know. Buffet style. This is guests. If you have lots of guests, the best thing is to have a buffet, because then you don't have to sit all these plates out and fill them all up. You let the guests fill them up, and the guests get what they like. They can pick out how much they want to put on their plate. And so this is very ideal for a large number of guests in a small amount of space. It's more informal usually, although it can be really formal. They use them at weddings when they have a lot of people. They'll use the buffet style. And it also, the buffet style gives so everyone can mingle around, you know, so they're going to the buffet and they can talk to each other at the buffet a lot of times. And wedding receptions are good, and you know, basically church functions, they all do buffet style. It's easiest to do. So there are 2 different types of buffet styles. There's a regular buffet style. A regular buffet is a meal in which the food and the dinnerware and the flatware and the napkins and the beverages are all placed on the buffet table. So when they go up there, they're going to get their plates. And so the guest helps himself to each of the items, getting the plate, getting their plate, getting their napkins, getting their silverware. So that's a regular buffet. So, so it says, for any reason a table is not used. If you don't have a table, say that you have a buffet and people are just sitting in the living room all over the place, or you don't have enough chairs, so they're sitting outside and they're sitting inside and they're mingling around, you know. So, you know, you can serve finger foods, you know. They're eating with just a fork, you know, so they're just getting finger foods and stuff, so they don't have to have a big plate. And then you can do that at that point. But if you have a seated buffet, so each guest has a place setting at the table. So the place setting has its flatware, napkin, glassware, anything, you know, at the table. Usually not the, I should say, usually not the plates, of course. But at the table, you'll have your napkin, your glassware where you're going to get water, and your silverware, so they don't have to pick those things up. And so then when they go to the buffet, they just get a plate full, right? And they bring back and they have their silverware there at their place setting. So, let's see. Organize the buffet so that the guests can serve themselves as quickly and easily as possible. Sometimes large groups may need more than one buffet and have 2 lines of people. So if you have a big, you better get 2 lines or they're going to be in long lines, right? And so, and sometimes the buffet is broken up to stations so that they could go to different stations. They've been to a buffet where you go and there's the dessert station. It's always good to have the dessert somewhere else anyway. And so you can go to the station for the cold foods and the station for the hot foods. Pretty important. But it says here, desserts usually get their own table on a buffet. Usually you can decorate on dessert. So let's go through some of these tips and techniques for organizing the buffet. You want to organize a buffet? Well, let's see what we need to know. It says, regardless of the order in which you place your food, there are some important principles to apply. Establish a good traffic flow, so it won't bottleneck up with somebody standing at the buffet for a long time. And be sure plates are at the beginning of the buffet so they can grab their plate first, and then place their flatware or silverware, I should say, and napkins at the end of the buffet so they don't have to carry their napkins all the way through the buffet. They want to be able to load their dishes up first before they get their silverware. Set drinks away from the food buffet so they can get them at a different time. Drinks if you have a drink station, or you can fill the drinks at the table and put water on the table. So make your buffet appear very attractive, varying the size and the heights of different serving dishes, all different sizes and different heights. Don't put everything the same. It looks kind of boring, right? Label the menu items. It looks really good if you have a formal buffet and you really put down what is in each dish. So they may not like that dish, or maybe you need to put the ingredients because they might have an allergy and not be able to eat what's in that dish. So it's good to label them. Provide the serving utensils for the buffet as a sanitary place for them to rest. Make sure you put a small plate there so when they're serving it, you can serve it with a spoon or a fork or whatever you have, and then take that spoon and fork and put it on a sanitary dish instead of right on the table or right on the tablecloth. So, and this prevents the handles from falling inside the food. Don't just leave the silverware in the food because it can fall inside the food and get all gross, right? Provide a way for foods to be at safe temperatures. So if you're going to have a long buffet for a long period, make sure you put chafing dishes. You know what chafing dishes are? Those are their dishes that have a little flame underneath them. Or sometimes they have electric, buffet server or something, or warming trays to keep things warm. Because if you put them out there for over a few hours, they can get bacteria. And also put ice under the cold foods that are on the buffet if it's a long time buffet. So place sauces and condiments near the dish they complement. So if you have hamburgers, next to your hamburgers, it's good to put, your ketchup and mustard and stuff, right? So they're like, where's the ketchup and where's the mustard? It's always, on a buffet, unless you have a certain table for condiments like you would in a restaurant. So place the general condiments at the end of the buffet so you can have if they're looking for different other condiments, you can put it at the end so they can find where they're at. So that's buffet. Okay, here it says, begin the service with the lady guest of honor. Pour and see how. Do not lift the glass from the table when refilling. See, when you're refilling, don't grab the glass and bring it up and then refill it and put it back on. Not a good idea. And you just go ahead and pour it there, but don't touch the glass with their glass, So it says, okay, we're going back to the buffet. You may set up the buffet in the same order as you would write a menu. You may, in a buffet, put the main, the main dishes, starches, vegetables, salads, rolls, and condiments all the way. You would put the appetizers. I would put the appetizers first, then the main dishes, starches and vegetables, and on to the desserts, just the same way. It's kind of so they can know, but modern buffets are more creative and less strict about the order these days. And the order may have to do with the presentation. You might want to have a beautiful presentation and putting together your buffet. Different contrasts of colors and shapes of food, and make it look very, very, I should say, amazing. Just, be creative. So in other cases, it may have to do with economy. You might want to put the less expensive foods at the beginning so they can eat them first. That's kind of a dumb idea too. But anyway, they do that at the restaurants. They put a lot of less expensive food at the beginning so they fill up on those. And at the end, they put the more expensive things. So anyway, beverages. Before a meal begins, set the table properly to accommodate, as for the beverages. Beverages may be iced and poured up in the kitchen and set on the table instead of buffet. It's a good idea. So the first course, such as an appetizer or salad, may also be present if the temperature loss is not a concern. So you could put the salads and the appetizers on the table instead of in a buffet. So it's up to you. It says have coffee ready to brew and the cream and sugar ready to be served, because after they eat, they may want to have coffee because they have a coffee cup, right? Sit with their coffee cup and their cream. So have that ready for after they eat. So it's all brewed. You don't have to brew up the coffee. Oh, I'm brewing the coffee. So arranging the food on the plate. So how do you arrange the food on the plate? All these restaurants make it look so good, right? The main dish should be placed at the bottom of the plate at 6 o'clock. Just the bottom of the plate when you have a 6 o'clock place. And the vegetable and starch will be at 10 o'clock, so, and at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. You have a vegetable on one side and starch at the other side, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And if there are only 2 items, you can place them beside each other. For a special touch, chill the plates. If it's cold food, chill the plate. Like a salad plate's really nice to be cold. And then warm plates, you can put them in the oven for a little bit to warm them up. So you don't have cold plates and you have warm food. So, and then plan your menu to allow the contrasts of color in your food. The color, the texture, the shape, the size and what kind of garnish should you put on to make the dish look really appealing. So you place the garnishes where they complement the items. Do not allow any food to touch the rim or hang over the edge. So you're serving spaghetti. You don't want spaghetti and cheese hanging off the edge of your plate. No. So do these uniform presentations, and you can make sure when you say uniform, means that each person gets the same looking plate, right? They're just uniform. That means when you put them at the table, all these beautiful plates look exactly alike. So setting the food in front of a guest. So each guest's plate should be placed at his cover. Remember, that's where we sit. It's our cover, our place of the table. And so the main dish will be toward the guest's stomach. So here's the main dish towards the guest's stomach, right? So at 6 o'clock position. And there are only 2 items in the plate. You can see the plate is placed so the items are at angles with the main dish at 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock. So see how the main dish and the 2 other items above them at 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock. That's how a main dish looks. So the principalities of table service are based upon the comfort of the guest. You think about the guest. It's always polite to begin with ladies first, especially the guest of honor if she's a lady. And serve beginning with her and continue counterclockwise. If I have a male guest that's the guest of honor, so I will serve them first if it's their birthday, so it's how you want to do it, So the service begins with her, and then from that point you go counterclockwise to the right. So the next person to the right, the next person to the right. Just think of the guest of honor, and that's how you serve people to the right. Okay. Alrighty, let me see here. Let's go over these tips. These are always fun. Tips and techniques. Basic principles of service. Begin with the lady guest of honor. Carry 2 plates at a time, 1 in each hand. So you have 2 plates, you're carrying them and you're serving them, right? Keep your thumb off the top of the plate. You don't want your thumb sitting there on the top of the plate, but hold the plate by the side rim to steady the plate. So serve food to each guest from the left. The food will come from the left and the beverages on the right. Just remember, always beverages on the right, liquids on the right. And so transfer the plate then with your right hand, left plate hand, and always serve the next person, on the left. Never reach across a guest to refill something. Don't reach across people. Present plates in a way that ensures the food presentation for each guest. They put the plate there, and there it looks amazing, right? With that presentation. The bread or rolls are typically served with the first course, and they're refilled during the entry course. You can refill those bread rolls. For more formal occasions, the server may serve the bread directly onto the bread plate. For less, you might have a bread basket that you're passing around, a bread basket. That's less formal, so. It says here in the bread plate, if a bread plate is not used, there needs to be another plate for a salad entry, the place before the bread service. Anyway. Serve and refill beverages from the right. You might have a drip cloth there, usually a clean napkin to catch drips if you drip something on the table or drip something, between the guests or the pitchers and such. Take care not to touch the rim of the glass of the pitcher. You don't want to touch it with your hands, that's for sure. And do not lift the glasses from the table when refilling. So when you're refilling, like I said before, don't grab a glass and then bring it over here and refill it and put it back on. No, they don't want you to lift the glasses. You're going to pour water in the glasses. You may lift the cup and saucer and turn away from the guest to serve hot beverages. So if you have coffee or tea, you may be afraid that you're going to spill the coffee and tea, so you may lift those, if you need to. Lift them up and then fill them and bring them back because you don't want to spill hot coffee on someone. So that's an exception. Basic principles of clearing the table. Only begin clearing when everyone at the table is finished. Wait till everybody's finished. Don't start clearing the table when people are still eating. Never stack the plates at the table. Begin with the lady guest of honor and then continue counterclockwise. You're always going counterclockwise, which is to their right, around the table. Clear from the left with your left hand, but transfer the first plate you pick up to the right hand so you can clear a second plate. So you're 2 plates at a time, only 2 plates at a time, not 3 or 4. Take the used plates and flatware to a side table or into the kitchen, away from the table. And then discreetly, you're going to clear the table, clear the plate of the food. Take the food and scrape the plate into the trash, and then stack the plates, after you scrape them off. Never stack the plates with food and flatware in between the plates because the plates could all fall and break. So, and once the table is cleared, move collected dishes or scrap plates, move them into the kitchen. Don't use the garbage right there, sitting out there, right? Glasses will not be typically cleared, but if they must, you can mostly leave the glasses on the table. But if you must take them off, do so from the right of the guest. Remember, all the food you take from the left, all of the liquid to the right. Liquids to the right, solids to the left. Wash your hands when you're finishing handling those dirty dishes. And then apply, it says here, when clearing and serving before a dessert, clear everything that does not pertain to coffee in the dessert. So a lot of people want to keep their flatware. So use serving dishes and use plates and flatware, Sometimes you may, if they don't have their flatware, you maybe need to get them a fresh spoon or fork. Clear 2 at a time. And anyway, we already went over that. Unused flatware, clear from the side that it's on. Do not reach across the guest to take things away from them, right? Remember to leave flatware for desserts and coffee service. So you leave those those silverware for the end. And salt and pepper. Take that off last. So serving coffee and dessert. So take the cream and sugar to the table after clearing the entree, but before serving the coffee. And then place the cream and sugar in front of the lady guest of honor, since she's served first, and then serve the coffee first, and then serve the dessert. You always serve the coffee first. So if the dessert is triangle, like a pie, so place the small end pointed towards the guest. So if you have a pie like this, you want to serve it pointed towards the guest. So be sure to showcase the garnish too. So after all the guests have finished, dessert plates and flatware may be cleared. And you may also leave the dessert dishes and the flatware on the table until after the guests have left. Wait till they're done taking their coffee and everything's gone. Then you can clean off the table after they're gone. So remember, service is based on the comfort of the guest. So beverage glasses and coffee cups are not cleared from the table while the guests are still seated. So they can still have their beverages and their coffee cups in case they want to still talk and drink their coffee, right? Wait until after the meal, and then you can take these things off. So, okay. This last part, the end of the chapter here, tips and techniques. Sample order of a served meal. So after the table is set, and just before the meal begins, present preset beverages and condiments and salt and pepper. Put the water and everything on. And then seat the guests. And then what do? We have prayer. We pray, and after the prayer, they'll know they can eat. So serve or pass the bread while the guests eat. You can serve or pass the bread, and clear the salad plates. Usually salads first or an appetizer. And then serve the entree. Refill the bread and beverages as needed, and then clear the table for dessert. At dessert, the table's clear, and so you can begin with the coffee, and you can refill the coffee. Say, would you like some more coffee? And refill it. Coffee you can take away from the table to refill, usually, because you don't want to bring your coffee pot and spill it on them, right? And the hostess will end the meal appropriately when everyone is finished. So when everyone's finished, the hostess will say, okay, we're cleaning up now, or okay, or bring everybody into the dining room or something. It's kind of a sign, well, we're done, so anyway, so that chapter, we're done with chapter 5. We're going to go on. This next part is that etiquette and hospitality. This is going to be really cool too. So it's really important to know these things, and it's important to know etiquette.